Hi guys, welcome back to another episode When Girls Talk Books. This time we're doing a mid-month mini episode called Book Bites. I'm Susie.
And I'm Kylee.
Yeah, we did it.
And so for our mini episodes, it's going to be kind of a mid-month episode, so you get your fill of things, all bookish, which is why you're seeing us in the middle of the month.
We're back.
Hi. And so this episode, we're going to be covering books for new readers. So if you're new to reading, these are kind of some books that we would recommend.
If you're more of a mediocre reader like myself.
You're better than you think you are, that's for sure.
Like, good at reading, yes.
Yeah.
But do I think about reading constantly? Probably not.
Who does that?
Yeah, who would do that? God, those girls are all boobs and no brains. I'm busy reading more books.
Reading books.
Or listening.
That's true. We do like an audiobook.
But yeah, for Book Bites, we did 4 books, like each of ones we would recommend.
4.
Yeah.
4-ish.
I did 4.
I did ish.
You know, because that's like all the books I'd ever read in my life before we started this. Just kidding. There was 5.
Let's see, in school we had to read.
Yes, and then actually there was like, oh, I'm up to double digits now.
Okay, do you want to start?
Sure.
Okay.
The first one I did was actually one you found us, Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey.
Oh, did you read that?
I ended up finishing it. It took me forever, not because it was a bad book, just, and then I finally finished it a long time ago, and when I was going through the list and looking through my bookshelf, I'm like, that one was pretty good for if you don't read a ton and you want. So yeah, it's a holiday romance, like kind of a comedy romance. It's about Beat and Melody. They're the children of like famous people, and they're trying to bring their mothers who were at odds with each other like back together for an event. And it's like there's a lot of funny banter, and it gets a little bit more serious, and then the romance kind of builds slowly. Not really like spice, but it's cute.
Slow burn.
Yep.
Yeah.
A little too slow burn for me, so like I gave it 3 out of 5 stars.
Like the clip with Melissa McCarthy. Have you been drinking? I'm about to start.
Yep.
I'm about to start to if we don't get on with the show here.
Yep, that's exactly how I felt. But yeah, overall, if you want a good book to read for Christmas, and it's it's not super thick.
That's nice.
So that was my first recommendation.
Cutesy rom-com. Christmas. Nice. So my first one is technically a series, but I'm just gonna say the first one. And this is actually what got me back into reading, like as an adult. Now, if I was to ever read this book, I would be like, "Are we so for real here?"
In my head, I'm like, "What is it? What is it? What is it?"
It's the After series.
I don't think I've read it.
I'm pretty sure you have.
I feel so stupid now. That's okay.
So it's with Tessa and Hardin, and they're in
I started that.
I was gonna say you got to like book 3.
Okay.
So I would say the After series. Yeah, it's pretty
Messy.
good. It's so drama filled where you're just like, oh my gosh. It's just like, it's definitely one of those, kind of like Magnolia Parks, where I would never want this to be happening in my real life, but in a book, I ate it up. I went through this whole series, and they're fat books, and probably like a week.
They do be, wow.
As someone who like didn't read forever.
Me.
Well, this was probably like, what, 7 years ago that I got back into reading, and I consumed this series. I could not get enough of it. So it's very much like coming of age, very toxic drama, romance.
Heavy on the toxic drama.
Based off of
not in a judgy way. Like, it seemed like I was like, oh, who the fuck reads drama?
You go. But it's very entertaining if you're wanting to like dip your toe into it. That's definitely something I would recommend.
Good choice. My brain just forgot about that.
Yeah.
Okay, I like
Add
that.
another one to your list.
Yeah.
Okay, you go.
The next one was The Perfect Marriage for me, by Geneva Rose.
Geneva Rose.
That's a thriller, a whodunit. Oh my god. I loved it. I finished that book on the worst camping trip of my life. Like this, with a headlamp on in the tent.
In the dark. It's pouring down rain. Well, was that when you went camping with Eric?
Yeah, he was so sick he couldn't move, and I'm just sitting there like reading about how a wife unalived her husband, and I'm like, this isn't creepy at all.
This is great. Love this.
It kept me guessing a lot. I gave that one like 4.5 out of 5 stars because I really liked it.
Yeah.
I it more morbid, maybe. Like if I had to add something to it, like make it more morbid if I had to complain. But if you got tired of thrillers because they all took too long or they were too slow burning like myself, that's a great welcome back to thrillers. You like them.
That's a good one. Mine is also a thriller, my next one. And this is one that I recommend to almost anybody that is like wanting to start reading, because I'm like, just read it. It's so good. And that's The Silent Patient. And that one is like this woman is in a psychiatric facility and she refuses to talk, and like they pulled up and she had murdered her husband, and it's like a kind of like what happened. She won't speak, she won't communicate, and then this therapist shows up and she
Christina, you have to talk now
to communicate, and it's really good. And that's like one of my favorite 5-star reads. Some people say it's predictable.
She said a 5-star.
I know.
The coveted.
I know. I don't rate a lot of things 5 stars. I do a lot of 4s.
Yes, this is a big day.
But that's one that I always, like, that twist just got me so good, and I was like, oh, I did not see that coming. So some people think it's predictable. I definitely did not think it was predictable. So,
Nice.
Silent Patient for sure. Okay.
My next one is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. We just did an episode on that book. It was good. It was really good.
I think about that book way too often.
It's a YA like fantasy fiction. I'll put like romancy.
Yeah.
Because there's like, you know, it's YA, so there's like a little bit, but it was cute. A lot of plot twists. I enjoyed that one because like either I love a fantasy book or I'm like, I don't want to hear about the bricks and the layers of the ivy that painted down the hills of the like. Oh my God! Enough. So this doesn't.
You can't stand too much description.
Yeah.
If it's
so that's
too
why
much,
I can't read Lord of the Rings and like those books. I respect the shit
point.
out of it. Yep. Not for me. It's kind of like Hunger Games vibes. What's another description? I didn't really write very much down because I'm like, oh, we just did it. I'll remember everything about this book. But it's about like normal people against people with powers in this world, and a normal girl has to compete against the elites who are the most powerful of all. Multiple of them happen to be princes. The game changes. Who shall she be with? Cliffhanger. It's a series. I haven't read any more of the series because I'm up to my eyeballs in reading, one whole book a month. So that's really hard for me.
sometimes we have to push it to 2.
Yeah, and like then it's like, dear God.
Okay. So my next one is gonna be kind of general author. I think anything by Elsie Silver. Elsie Silver does cowboy, rodeo kind of romances.
Yeah.
Susie, I can't even explain it to you. I've read every single one of her books.
She is the most yeehaw. She's like, ha yee. Okay, this girl.
But hey,
that'd be like me being
when
like,
he's
I'm really
coming in on the
books
horse,
now.
So
What
anything
in
by
tarnation?
And they're all companion novels, so you don't have to read them in order. You can just read some of them. I've read every single one.
I would get so confused though when, like, I know that sometimes there's
TV
matter. Shows that are like that, where it's like it doesn't matter where you start. I'm like, yes, it does.
No, these really don't.
That's
because everyone is about a different person, and so they all kind of connect, and like you hear about this person from here, and which is in book 2,
like it all happens on
not
Dutton Ranch kind of situation.
No.
I'm like speaking Yellowstone, so I understand.
Like they're like siblings, and then so the book will be about this brother and that brother and that brother. So you'll hear stuff about other people, but you don't have to read them in order if you don't want to.
Okay.
I did. But
okay. Now I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
When I'm ready to up it to 1.5 books.
Susie, let me tell you, I read. It's technically.
Are we getting horses next year now? Like that's how.
I would love. I did have horses growing up.
That's true.
But
like, are we getting back into this?
Reading cowboy romances?
No. The lifestyle.
Yeah. On my property that I don't have? Yeah. You imagine a horse in my backyard?
Hey.
But when I started reading this series, I read 5 books in 4 days. I couldn't put it down.
Can't.
It was so stupid. I was addicted to it.
Here lies the girl that tried to read 3 books.
So anything by her, they're really easy to read. They're just your classic kind of romance book, but it's so just
One more time, the author's name?
Elsie Silver.
Elsie Silver. Okay. I'm
Any of her
forgetting it.
stuff.
I acted like that would help me remember.
If you need a reminder, you just let me know.
Yep.
So that was one of mine.
My last choice, which I felt like was going to make you laugh, Books for New Readers is another series.
Okay.
Twilight
Oh,
by Stephanie Meyer.
absolutely.
I don't know what world, maybe somebody still hasn't read those, but I was one sheltered kid, so you never know.
That's true.
have read them. I read them in high school, but I would do it again.
In the dark, without
Yeah.
your mom knowing.
Yeah, outside in the backyard with it in a Ziploc. Like, okay, that way I can leave it outside so they'll never know. Yes, it did have to spend several days in our shop one time.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
That's a good recommendation. I never would have thought of that.
Oh, okay.
That's a good one. So
That was my first 5-star.
Fair. So another one that I don't think, it's not very popular. It's called The Chain, and it's by Adrien, McKenzie, and it's about. Let me preface this. I would never read this now, but I read it before I had a
This
kid.
is gonna be good.
And it's,
Like-
so the premise is this lady's kid is kidnapped, and then she gets a call, and it's essentially like, welcome to the chain, and now you have to kidnap somebody else's kid in order to get your kid back. And it's like the craziest thing. Like, I don't think I would read it now. But when I read it, I was like, this is nuts.
Good God!
It's so good, though. And it's like real quick. Like, it's like second chapter, the kid's gone. And so she's like,
No slow burns here.
but like, what would you do? That's the whole point of it. Like, what do you do? Your kid's just been
Lose my
kidnapped,
fucking mind.
and you can get him back, but you have to kidnap somebody else's kid, and then it continues on. It's crazy. So I put that one on there. It's really good. It's really good. That's the end of yours, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I added in Zodiac Academy.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely add Zodiac. It's easy but addicting. So I did put
There's a
Zodiac
lot of
Academy there.
information to remember, but like I have zero complaints about the book.
Yeah.
That's not me being like, no, don't do it. Like it's so good. It's just so much to remember. Like I struggle with characters. I'm gonna have to start making charts.
Yeah.
This is who they are. This is what they can turn into. This is what they are.
Yeah.
This is who they're in love with.
But once you get into it, though, like, you can't stop. It's like,
So good to read.
it's
You
so
want more.
easy.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
obviously,
everything you could ever want in a
any
book. really,
fantasy
like-
book when you're starting, it's like,
But
what?
not for long, especially in that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're completely correct.
So that one's pretty good.
Excellent choice.
Say You Swear by Megan Brandy is really good. That is a romance. And it's kind of between her brother's friend that she's kind of been in love with forever, and then this guy that she ends up meeting that she ends up going to school with, and it's kind of like this triangle thing.
Oh.
But then something really serious happens, and I can't say what it is because it's kind of spoiler alert. But Say You Swear is really, really good. That is also one of my 5-star, probably one of my favorite reads I've ever read. So I would say that one.
Okay.
It's
okay.
pretty good. I think I'll just leave it at that.
and then.
The Housemaid, also really good. 5 stars. I love that one. That's the one I read recently. Frida McFadden. I did see the other day, somebody said if you've read one Frida McFadden, you've read them all. Like they all have the same kind of vibe to them, so I'm a little bit hesitant about
I've never
reading the
read,
rest.
I don't think, like, enough of one author's book that wasn't a series to be able to, like, form enough of an opinion on that. That's interesting.
Fair. Well, all
I'll
of
come
hers-
back in a few years and be like, okay, I have an opinion now.
On next week's episode, Susie read 5 books in 4 days.
You know, just can't get any hours of work. So what else am I
It's
supposed
fine.
to do? I baked everything. You know, my oven broke, so I had no choice but to read.
But yeah, so those are my reads.
Good choices.
Yeah, I think if you're starting out reading, go slow. Don't like pick up anything that is just,
Don't be an overachiever.
yeah.
Yeah,
you
that's
don't-
where I go wrong as a overachieving people pleaser. Like, oh, I got to pick the
Sophisticated,
thickest,
yeah.
the thickest book, the longest storyline, all this. Like,
Fair.
you just pick something because it sounded good.
Yeah, reading should be fun. And I stand by that. And if you don't like it, don't finish it.
She's still teaching me that.
That was like the hardest lesson of like, People love this book. I had a really hard time finishing it, The Handmaid's Tale.
Never read it.
Love the show. Obsessed with the show.
I personally don't see how I could enjoy reading that as a book.
It was brutal. And I forced myself to finish it. And then I tried to read Normal People. Same concept. People love Normal People. Hated it. And I was like, not doing this. Not doing it. I'm not torturing myself.
Yeah, like, I'm done. I'm not following the fads anymore.
I have so many other books I could read. Like, why
True.
am I wasting my time? So, if you don't like it, don't finish it. But
I like that. So yeah, if that doesn't get you started, I don't know what will. That was like, what, 9 books?
yeah.
So yeah, there's Book Bites.
Book bites in a bite.
Book Bites and what?
In a bite. Okay. Well, that's just our filler
Yeah. but-
episode.
yeah. Well, stay tuned.
If there's anything in specific you guys want to see, let us know.
They may ask me to read Lord of the Rings, and I'll have to be like, look, anything for the viewers but that. Like,
Yeah.
sorry.
We'll bring Justin in. He can read it and tell everyone about it. He's like, okay, you'd be here for
You ready
hours.
for your first solo episode?
You'd be here for hours. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you
Bye.
at the end of the month.
Bye.
Book bites.